All right. Thank you everybody for hopefully being able to join us in person. We appreciate it. But if you didn't have the opportunity, then we're here to make sure that you still get the conference information. And so we'll go through some fun stuff today. But feel free to watch this recording and then submit the interest form.
So we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to give a quick overview of what we'll be covering today. So we're going to be talking about conference logistics, where, theme, and essentially other ways to get involved, which will be talked about through our committee responsibilities. We'll talk about overall responsibilities, and then we'll go through the breakthrough of the three different committees and then the subcommittees between those. And then we'll have some time for questions for anybody. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and get started.
All right, so we're going to start off with our 2026 conference planning team. If you weren't a part of our conference this year, then you may not have heard, but we'll have four fantastic members to kind of oversee this process. The first is Shelby Hearn, who serves as our association president. Shelby's had multiple roles within the association, and she has some really fantastic leadership skills that's going to take us to the next level. And so we're really excited to be working with her in this mentorship process to kind of make sure our conference goes well. Brooke Arrington, who served as chair for conference planning these last 2 years, will continue on in a campus liaison role. She is from Texas A&M, and so she'll make sure that we have all of our connections, ensuring that we're being a part of the campus community as well. Of course, you have Jocelyn Martinez, who's on the call today. Jocelyn has also had a lot of fantastic experience within the conference. If you've heard of the Biggest Buzz, then you've heard of Jocelyn. And then myself as well. So being able to serve in this capacity, I also serve as director of education, and so being able to fulfill this role is just full circle moment for us.
So we're going to go ahead and get started with conference logistics. We are heading to College Station, Texas, A&M to be specific. We will be having this conference not on campus, not directly on campus in like a student union. We will be at the A&M Hotel and Conference Center, which is right next to the university. That is the physical address, and that picture at the left is the conference center and where we will be staying. So yeah, we chose College Station this year because a lot of the things that they value TACUSPA holds as a value as well. For the conference theme this year, we're talking about leading through change. We chose this theme because as student affairs professionals, we are always going through change, whether it's our students changing our specific duties, role, or a university as a whole. We're always navigating change. But we're having to lead our students through that. Either we're leading students, or maybe you're in a higher up leadership position, you're having to lead a team. So when we were deciding on what to do for the theme of this year's conference, we knew it had to be something about innovation, and we chose to do leading through change.
So now we're going to transition into kind of thinking about responsibilities. If you decide to move forward with serving on the committee, which hopefully, fingers crossed, you do, this is going to be really the bulk of the conversation we're going to be having. Before we get into this specific general responsibilities, I did want to cover that there are three different levels that we'll be having for the conference planning committee. So one's our full committee, which is going to be everybody who serves on it. Fingers crossed. I think right now we had 30 people interested in serving. So we'll have a group where we meet or monthly on the monthly basis to kind of discuss a lot of collaborative work between one another. From there, we break up into three committees. So we'll go over those in the next few slides. And each committee will have 3 to 4 subcommittees within them. So I also want to make sure that we are emphasizing that we are working collaboratively hand in hand with the association board. We won't necessarily be doing some of their work. Some of the stuff that they are responsible for covering does flow into the conference. And we'll just make sure that they're involved, either if they're serving on the committee, and if they don't have the capacity to, then we'll make sure that as co-chairs, we're advocating for you all, answering those questions, getting all the information, communicating between the association board and our planning committee. So now that we kind of had some of that basis covered, we're going to go into general responsibilities. If you do plan to serve on the conference planning committee, you can expect about 2 hours a month of meeting in person on a Zoom virtual space. So for example, our full committee will be meeting every 4 to 6 weeks. So we won't necessarily be meeting too often at the beginning of this process. We also expect that you're able to respond to emails, as soon as possible and communicate effectively with us and as well as your subcommittee leads. You'll be able to complete assigned tasks and meet established deadlines. There are certain things that, it's more heavier in certain seasons of the planning process versus other times. So making sure that you're aware of those things. You work collaboratively and respectfully with other committee members. So not just with your subcommittees, but with the full committee as well. And then, of course, you'll keep internal planning discussions, proposals, and sensitive information confidential. We still want to have an element of surprise. We want to make sure that our attendees don't necessarily know everything. And then, of course, if there are people submitting certain information, such as an educational proposal, we want to keep that under the wraps as well. And then if possible, please plan to attend the 2026 conference in person. However, it is not a requirement. If you see in the picture, we have a list of people who all contributed throughout. And so know whether or not you're there with us in person, you'll be there with us in spirit, and we'll make sure to honor and recognize all the great work that you've done to make sure the conference is successful. But we would love to be able to have you join us for our session. We know plans change, so if you need to back off at, certain points in the semester or certain points of the year, that is a-okay with us. And then just some general information, you'll hopefully start thinking to expect to serve from November 2025. So we'll have our first full committee meeting then, and then work up until, I mean, we were meeting the Friday before conference. So you'll probably have that expectation. It typically does pick up over the summertime a little bit more when we have our full committee meetings. But generally speaking, it'll happen every 4 to 6 weeks.
So as I mentioned earlier, we have several committees. The three committees we have are Programming and Educational Experience, Communication and Outreach, Attendee Experience, and Hospitality. We're going to go through each of these individually as well as subcommittees, and then we're going to talk about lead positions at the end.
So we're going to start off with the programming and educational experiences, which I'll be overseeing as your co-chair. This committee really curates the learning and professional development, the biggest pieces of the associate or the conference, right? Members will be able to help identify themes or tracks. We initiated the tracks process this year. We want to continue to elevate that. You'll also be able to review educational session proposals, think about that planning process, and then shape the conference's keynote and institute experiences as well. If you're serving on this committee, then the goal is for you to actually be able to gain insight into the conference programming. So looking behind the curtains, what does that process look like? Strengthen your skills in event planning, facilitation, and content curation. So again, making sure that we're aligning our educational sessions to the tracks, to our conference outcomes, all that fun stuff. And then expand your professional network and contribute to shaping the learning experience for TACUSPA members in general. So some of these responsibilities really look like being able to first and foremost review and select educational sessions based on relevance, quality, and in alignment with the conference goals. So again, looking at what that process looks like, is it, preparing the educational session, a Google form application, making sure that we're talking with our session presenters, collecting their information to be added to the program, all of that fun stuff. I'll also be assisting with identifying and coordinating guest speakers and keynotes. I think the biggest piece of the conference for me is what am I getting from these keynotes? Are they effective? And is it something that I'm really learning? So being able to, if you feel like you have the connections in the higher ed space, then this is a great space for you to plug in your friend, plug in your coworker, your mentor, who can really come speak to us about what are some of the most incredible trends that we have. Support the planning and logistics of pre-conference institutes. We currently have 3: graduate student, new professionals, and mid-level intern institutes. And so we encourage you, if there's something that you, as a graduate student, right, you want to serve on the graduate student internship or institute process, then to tell us like what are some things that you wish you knew going in as a grad student. Same for new professional, mid-level. Then this is the space for you. Collaborate with subcommittees to ensure sessions meet attendees' professional needs and reflect emerging trends that are happening in higher ed. And then, of course, attend committee meetings with meet deadlines and communicate progress with the co-chairs too. So we do have 3 subcommittees for this one. The first one, like we mentioned, is that educational session. So being able to create that application process, selection process, communicating with the session presenters, all of that fun stuff. The next one will be the pre-conference institute. And so making sure that we're working collaboratively between the 3 institutes, there is a similar experience and that they're all distinct as well. And then a guest speaker, right? We want to make sure that we're being able to identify, hire, and execute an effective guest keynote experience. Each of the sessions, the subcommittees will have their own time and opportunity to identify what works best for them. But for example, guest speakers, if you're like, hey, I can only commit for the first few months, then maybe that's a committee for you because they'll be heavy in the early on and not so much later on as the process continues. So just keep that in mind. This subcommittee or this committee in general will be working with the Vice President of Education and Research, as well as the Director of Education to ensure that all of our stuff is staying in track and aligning with our mission of TACUSPA.
So now we're going to talk about community and outreach. I will be the co-chair leading this committee. So this committee drives the visual identity, marketing, and external communication strategy for the conference. Members will help promote engagement before, during, and after the event by developing creative campaigns, managing outreach, and supporting sponsorship efforts. This committee is going to work very closely with the Vice President of Marketing and Communication and the Director of Marketing. Not so much that we will be running social media, sending out emails. We will basically be working with these two individuals to communicate what our vision and what we want, and have them create it and execute it with the help of the committee members. So some of the outcomes or what you would get from serving in this committee is building marketing, communication, and project management skills, gain experience in stakeholder engagement and sponsorship development, and then contribute to elevating TACUSPA's professional brand and identity. We know TACUSPA has a brand of blue and red. How do we elevate that? How do we also incorporate the theme of the conference, A&M, Maroon, Aggies, the cute puppy? So that's what this committee is going to focus on. We have some general responsibilities like every other committee. So consult on social media and email campaigns to promote conference events and deadlines. So this may be drafting an email and then having the marketing people finalize it and actually send it out. Support website updates, branding, visual designs. So swag, banners, and signage. If you attended this previous year, you might have saw Legacy Lane and those pop-up banners that were designed by marketing. You saw the balloon arches, that's all visual branding. And then when you checked in, you probably got a really cool swag bag with a chip clip and a notepad. Those are all things that are brainstormed in within this committee and then executed by the director and VP. We will draft or edit the conference script, slideshow content for key events. So for the conference, there's a running script, there's a running slideshow, editing that before, but also day of, maybe something we have committee members help with. Coordinate sponsorship and vendor outreach and maintain strong relationships with institutional and corporate partners. So this committee is going to be super involved with the outreach to institutional partners of, hey, we're having this conference, this is why you need to come, or this is why you should send your people. So creating those relationships to get people to want to send their people to us so that they can further develop themselves as professionals. We're going to collaborate on outreach efforts to stakeholders, including Texas University Systems and other regional associations. We will collaborate hopefully with NASPA, ACPA, those larger institutions to maybe bring some of their ideas that work at their conference to ours. So we have 4 subcommittees: marketing and social media, which includes website updates, swags, printout branding. So this could include creating certificates for committee members. This can also be creating the name badges, or maybe we want to do a social media countdown. That would all fall in within this subcommittee. Sponsorship, outreach, and coordination is also similar to stakeholder outreach, university systems, NASPA, the higher education board, etc. Connecting with people, getting our name out there, informing them about this conference. And ties with sponsorships. If you did attend the conference, you probably saw the, ¿cómo se dice? The
With the
vendor booth.
vendors, yeah.
Yes, the vendor booth. I am so sorry. But connecting with people like that to bring their business to us or bring their graduate programs to TACUSPA to market themselves. So doing that. And then the more logistical things like the conference materials, script, slideshow, and program. That beautiful program you got when at check-in that had to have been created by marketing. Same with the slideshow and script. Those are templates that need to be created by this committee in collaboration with marketing communication director and VP. So those are the subcommittees for this um, committee.
And then our last committee is the fun committee. So this is the attendee experience and hospitality. We're actually going to split this one a little bit, depending on subcommittee. You'll probably meet with one of us or the other. But this is hopefully, we want to make sure that every attendee, whether it's the first time experiencing TACUSPA or if you're a seasoned professional who comes year after year, they have a memorable, transformational experience, right? I don't know about you all, but I'm sure you had some fun times because now you're interested in serving on this committee, right? And so we want to make sure we continue to have that and elevate the conference from year to year. And this is really where that place comes to that role comes into place. So really focus on being able to create a welcoming, inclusive, and engaging experience on and off site. You'll hopefully be able to gain some experience in hospitality, right? Event logistics, volunteer coordination, even strengthen your leadership and organizational skills through collaborative planning. So not just talking with us, but the campus as well. And then help design experiences that foster belonging and connection between the TACUSPA membership for sure. We want to make sure that we're creating these lifelong friends that you will continue to talk with even after the conference is over. So some of these responsibilities, go for it, Jocelyn.
Yeah, so some of the key responsibilities of this subcommittee would be coordinating the campus tour and local exhibit experience that highlight the host city. So kind of like how we went to the aquarium the previous year. We probably would not have gone off campus if it wasn't for that reception. So coordinating things of that nature, socials, also a campus tour. You've never been to a campus. It's always great to get a tour, meet new people. You will also plan and support social and networking events throughout the conference. So like I said, those socials, maybe helping Shelby, who's the president, plan her presidential reception, develop strategies for engaging graduate students, new professionals, and faculty attendees. I always like to emphasize this one specifically because graduate students are the future of student affairs. Whether you're one right now or you're going to be one, you're going to be learning what's happening and how to help students or just the profession as a whole. New professionals, we need to emphasize those as well because they're here to absorb everything so that they can better use that knowledge to put it into their professional work. And then faculty, we may not realize how often we work with faculty, but faculty are who refer students to us, to our services, or just to student affairs in general. So developing strategies for engaging them, whether it's a social just for those specific populations, or maybe it's like the little tags that went at the bottom of your name tag where it said you're a faculty, you're a grad student, things of that. Organize and oversee volunteer recruitment, training, and on-site coordination. So trying to figure out where we need volunteers, how to recruit them, working with other committees like marketing to do that, training them to make sure everyone is prepared for the days of conference, or if not, being able to be confident in asking people for help. And then working closely with other committees. Each committee is going to work together in some capacity, hence why we have those 4 to 6 week monthly meetings where we will all come together to share what we're currently working on. So this will all create a cohesive attendee experience, make it fun, make it beyond just ed sessions, and allow people to network organically.
If they're really thinking about this one, there's four different subcommittees that we'll have here. The first one is local experiences. So again, thinking about the campus connections, what are some things that maybe we want to highlight? The campus tour, if you were if you were able to go to U of H, maybe it was the first time that you explored that campus, your first time at Texas A&M. We want to make sure that you have the opportunity here as well. Additionally, being able to plan that presence receptions. What's something new? If you're from the A&M system or you're from A&M College Station itself and you have like a few places you want to highlight those niche experiences, then this is the committee for you, right? Being able to also think about general attendee networking events, if you're able to plan a first time attending session, what does that look like, that process? Hosting our first night dinner reception and being able to, not sorry, the first night dessert reception where we were able to this year had like the 100 TACUSPA 100 and the photo booth and all of that fun stuff. So again, how are we making sure that these connections are being made and we're still having fun, right? Because we know after a long day of ed sessions, I am burnt out. I just want to have a good time. So making sure that we're able to do that. Volunteer coordination. What kind of volunteers do we need? When do we need them? How often? Thinking about what does the application process look like? How do we assign those people? And then how do we continue to have those channels of communication while we're there to put out any last minute fires that may pop up? Volunteers are the heartbeat of our conference, and we wouldn't be able to do anything without you all. And so this is a great opportunity to kind of coordinate that as well. Graduate student experience, if that's something you're interested in and working with graduate students in the future, you're a current graduate student, you have a lot of ideas or concepts that you would love to see, then this is a space for you, right? Being able to really think about what does that graduate student case study competition look like, contributing to that. If you're interested in building case studies, this may be a space for you. If you're a faculty member who has some of that experience, then we would love to have you join that committee as well. Thinking about breakfast, how do we engage students to make sure they're getting connected to kind of like breaking the ice for them, right? To vice presidents of student affairs or student success, or even thinking about faculty members to talk about graduate programs, all of that fun stuff. And then networking, right? How do we make sure that they're connected to each other? Because we know they have their own unique experiences. And so how do we communicate some of those updates and fun events that are specific just for graduate students as well?
So we are starting something new this conference. It's called Being a Lead. So you're already taking this step within this leadership by wanting to join these committee planning groups. But subcommittees leads play an important leadership role within the TACUSPA 2026 conference planning structure. Each lead will guide a small group of volunteers within their assigned committee to coordinate specific projects or deliverables that support the overall conference experience. So your key responsibilities would be collaborating closely with the committee co-chairs, so Jaime and myself, and other leads to plan, delegate, and track progress on subcommittee tasks. So it's kind of like reporting out to each other, reporting out to Jaime and I to figure out what you're doing, or if maybe you need us to help you with something so we can get the board input and support, facilitate communication and collaboration among subcommittee members, and then ensure assigned projects are completed accurately and on schedule. And you also serve as a point of contact and resource for subcommittee members. So essentially, think of it like a student leader. Maybe you're the president, but you're a lead. You're leading a group of people to eventually finish the key projects that we are needing to execute conference. So there is a process for becoming a lead. It's going to be the same application that we show you at the end. But if you're really thinking about being a lead, Jaime's going to share some things you should maybe consider before applying.
And so I know we talked about like, okay, I'm spending 1 hour in my subcommittee, 1 hour with the full committee. Essentially, taking on this lead role would be potentially 1 more hour, right? Where you're really checking in with us. What do we need to hear, updates, things like that. And then of course, those are the three, it's the bare minimum 3 hours plus whatever work you do outside, right? Now, if you're thinking about taking on a conference lead, for example, not just like a leader in the subcommittee, but maybe down the line, you want to do co-chair, or you want to be president of the association, or you want to run for any officer board member role, then this is the first step that you should really think about taking. You get to learn about so much behind the scenes and information about how to run something of this large scale, a regional conference. So if you're thinking and you're ready to take the next step, then we ask you to really think about what excites you about serving in this leadership role, right? Why TACUSPA? What brought you here? Why, tell your TACUSPA story. That's something that we learned at this past conference is how do we tell our story? So make sure that we know that what excites you about being in a leadership role. And then what interests you in serving in that specific subcommittee, right? What are some of those things that maybe you went to the you were a volunteer this year and you have now a little bit more experience under your belt, you know what you can do to elevate the services for next year, right? Having that type of response. And then of course, what strengths or skills would you bring to this role? What's important? How do we know that it's aligning to your interests too, right? So when we're thinking about a subcommittee lead, like whether you have done it before in the past or this is your first time serving on a committee, we're welcoming everybody to take the leap forward and be able to serve in this capacity. This, like Jocelyn said, to be transparent, this is our first time doing this. And so we want to make sure that we're setting you all up for success. So the application will be due by the end of this month, October. And we'll meet with you all one-on-one in November to kind of meet and discuss what is the support that looks like, what are the expectations, and from there you can decide if that's for you or if you just want to serve on the subcommittee without taking that necessarily formalized lead role. Note that everybody on the subcommittee for me is a leader. We all work differently. You'll just be somebody we contact a little more than everybody else. And that's really it for our presentation. I know typically this time we would have the opportunity to have questions, but we encourage you to reach out to us via email. You can contact us directly, or if you're interested or you just want to reach out to the TACUSPA Association, you can also reach out to that email as well. And
Yeah.
so just real quick, sorry, the feel free to scan the form so that you can get access to the application to join our committee. Do it as many times as you want to for each committee you want to serve on. So if you're thinking about like the programming and educational, but you also want to do some communication and have some fun recordings and reels, then you'll have to apply for each one of those with a different form.
Yeah, one thing I would like to add is we understand that you're human, you have professional roles, you have different things going on. You may not be able to commit as much time to CUSPA as you would hope. We will take anything, an hour, we will take 30 minutes. We understand that we need to be flexible as people. So for me personally, I wasn't able to attend every meeting in general, but I was able to execute some things for TACUSPA, like PowerPoint templates, presenting at TACUSPA templates. So I was able to still help even though I couldn't dedicate specific time frames. So we're never going to turn anybody away. We're going to take all the help we can get. And we're excited to be working with you all this year and next year.
And I do want to just say, like, Takuspa is very intimate. It's a small space, so you'll get to know each other. You're going to make friends. And this is one of those ways that you do that. You find a conference buddy. You really don't know what you're going to get out of it, whether that's a new mentor, I mean, even a new job, all these different things that you can really grow in. I always look forward to every October because now I'm going to hang out with my friends. We will have some opportunities. All of our meetings will be virtual, but we will have some opportunities to hang out in person too. So we'll do a site visit later on where we're going to invite the committee to come out and be a part of that. Maybe we'll record some things there. We'll also do the day before conference. We always invite our committee to come in and help set up anything for a little dinner to kind of just get to know each other outside of TACUSPA things and have fun before we jump into conference day one. So there'll be opportunities for you to connect. By all means, please feel free to connect to us on social medias if you have questions that way, or like I said, email us. But we're just looking forward to be able to serve in this capacity and be able to continue to elevate and think about what legacy we're leaving at this in this next century for sure.
Well,
All
thank
right.
you. Bye, everybody.
Bye.